Hey guys, welcome to Black Pill Radio. I'm your host, Mr. Tyler, and today we have a really interesting topic. We're going to be talking to parents about dealing with the whole quarantine situation and how they are handling that and how their children are handling that. I have four beautiful ladies on the panel with me today. I'm going to have them introduce themselves and then we'll get right into it. And for the introduction, I will start with Jessica first.
Hello, my name is Jessica Leanne. I am a best-selling author and international author coach. I have a literary and branding firm, Chocolate Readings, which helps authors write and publish their books like a pro without breaking the bank. I am a mom of one 17-year-old daughter, and we're just here in Dallas, stuck in the house.
Sounds good. Thank you. And we'll come to Alicia next.
Hi, how is everyone? My name is Alicia Kinchlow. I'm an attorney out of the Philadelphia area. I own actually two businesses. So I have the law firm, which focuses mostly on custody, family law, and then I also purchased a few months ago a hair salon. So I have the hair salon business as well. I'm married. I have three boys. They are 15, 12, and 6. They just had birthdays like during the quarantine. So I have a high schooler, a middle schooler, and a kindergartner. Yeah, so that's my story.
You covering the whole gamut. All you need is preschool and you'll be straight. All right, we're going to come to May next.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My real name is actually Mickey Arlene Ely, but May for short. I'm a momager of four beautiful children, two grown, 35, soon to be 30, 17, and 7. And I also have a publishing business where I've been publishing my own books, but now I'm also taking clients. And I have a full-time job with the state of New York, which I am now home due to the pandemic.
Thank you. And last but not least, Miss Albania.
Hello, good morning. My name is Talvania Matos. I am a mother of three beautiful daughters. My oldest is 18 years old. And then I have my second daughter who is 6 years old. And my baby, who's not a baby anymore, but she's 3 years old. And I work at a dental office as a manager. Of course, we're not working at the moment, so I do a few things from home. Um, Managing being a mom, it's a little difficult because my senior daughter was supposed to be graduating this year, and she's a little sad because of what's happening, and also my kindergarten daughter as well. I'm also an actor, so I'm taking advantage of filming myself, putting myself on camera, writing a lot of monologues, and I'm also a nail tech. So I work from home doing nails, but of course I'm not taking any customers. So just practicing on developing new skills, working on my hand model and stuff like that. Balancing life, the new norm for now.
That's good. And you can practice with your kids with the nail designs and
Yes,
doing some new things. It's great.
have
So,
my little customers.
so I'm going to come to Jessica with the first question. And basically, we just want to open up for all you guys and just find out how you are holding up and how your children are holding up during this quarantine.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm used to working from home anyway, so it's not a big of a change in that regard. I am a foodie, so I miss going out to sit down at the restaurant. I do not
Mhm.
put food in. I like it to be nice, hot, and fresh. So I do miss going out to eat. As far as my daughter,
Mhm.
she is kind of having a little trouble. She's an only child anyway, so I feel like her going to school was her way to kind of interact with other people. So now she's just like stuck in house with me. So I think it's kind of affecting her socially. So I've been encouraging her to FaceTime her friends and connect with our family back home in California. And we're going to do some rearranging in her room so she can kind of you know feel more open and free a little bit because I feel like she's been sad a little bit. So hopefully that'll boost her.
That's a good idea to get the kids maybe to rearrange the room or rearrange the house just to have something to do and get a fresh look and a fresh start. Alicia, how are you and the children holding up during this quarantine?
We're doing okay. With the three boys, it's kind of really managing their different personality types. My oldest and my youngest seem to be fine. Like they're okay with not going to school, kind of just talking to their friends on Zoom. My youngest one had actually a Zoom meeting. I'm the parent, the classroom parent for the kindergartner. So we created like a Zoom conference. So you had like 23 little kids trying to talk at once, but they got an opportunity to see each other. My middle child, I think, is having a little bit more difficulty. He's the more social one, the little social butterfly. So I think he's having a little bit more trouble with not being able to see his friends. The FaceTime or the Xbox communication is not nearly enough for him. So we spend a lot more time talking, just getting out into the neighborhood. But it's really just kind of trying to manage, their emotional states, making sure that before we went into distance learning, which actually starts today, working on the educational aspect of it, I felt like that in the beginning gave them a good foundation. It created a routine that kind of kept them going really well. And then the last part is really kind of keeping them safe. Two of my children have respiratory illnesses. So then the other part of that is, how do we make sure that we're keeping them safe? We're following the guidelines. My husband is an essential worker, so he's working every day, and actually a little bit more now because of what's going on. So it's just kind of managing all those moving targets in addition to working on the two businesses. But the parenting really has come down to just kind of really focusing and making sure I'm paying attention to each one of them.
And I'd like to say thank you to your husband who's out there making the city run, even though, it's definitely dangerous out there. So I'm going to come to Miss May or Mickey. You want to go by Mickey or May?
May.
All right. So I'm
Everybody
going
calls me May.
to come to May. And May, tell us how you and your family are holding up during this quarantine.
Actually, the family's holding up pretty good. My kids were already techies. My teenager, 17, she was already on remote learning way before the pandemic even hit. Half of her classes was uploading the work on Google Classroom, so it was an easy transition for her. Now, the little one who's 7, she's a little techie. The first week, it was pretty rough. We had to do the Zoom. The link wasn't working. They sent a different link every day. It was driving us crazy. So I had to tell the school, I had to write back and tell them, can y'all let the teachers choose at least one Zoom link? They can use it multiple times. And that'll make the transition a little bit more easy. But she got it. Like in the mornings, I don't even have to get on for her. She just automatically goes on and she loads up and boom, she gets the work done. She goes into the Google Classroom, downloads her work, she does it, and that's it. So it's been actually a smooth transition because we're a family full of techies. So I think that's the reason what made it so easier for us to do. It was much easier. So
Okay.
it's interesting. Some people, I hear a lot of people having a hard time, but to me, with mobile technology, I thought the transition would be easier for a lot more parents. But I think it's the fact that they have to use these different types of apps. What I did was link them all together through Google, and once you do that, I think everything works easier. Once they get to know how to use that Google Meet or Google Classroom or Zoom, then they'll get the hang of it. But to me, it was an easy transition.
Excellent. Thank you. Miss Albana, how are you and the kids holding up? Or should I say the girls?
Um, we're holding up pretty well. Actually, my daughter, who's a senior, she knows what to do regarding joining her classes through Zoom and Google Classroom. So I don't really have to help her or stress myself out too much about that because she handles it. As far as my kindergarten daughter, they're also having Zoom classes. So they usually, she will also send out packages for them to work, different study groups through email in case we're not able to log on into the Google Classrooms. And she's very hands-on. She usually will call me throughout the day and she'll have like a FaceTime chat with her and just, to try to keep her updated so that she doesn't lose track of what's going on. But she's only in kinder, so it's not that bad. Opposed to other students who might be in like 5th, 6th grade, I think it's a little bit more difficult maybe. And then my 3-year-old, she was attending a learning daycare. So they will also call through Zoom and have different activities. And we have like a package as well where I'm able to do different homeworks with them, different activities throughout the day. And then as far as for me, working from home, it's a little difficult because I'm usually hands-on at the workplace. So I'm just following up with, insurances and stuff like that. So it's not that bad. It's funny because my kindergarten daughter, who's 6 years old, her birthday was in January, and she made a wish on her birthday that she wished there was no more school.
She might be the cause of this. Uh-oh.
So funny because when everything happened, she's like, Mom, I wish that there was no more school, but I wanted to go out and do different stuff. So she was like, she didn't mean for everything to like shut down. But she thinks she made that happen with her wish. I explained to her the reason, but I mean, the kids are excited. My daughter is a little disappointed. My senior, because like I said, she was going to graduate in June. She's still going to graduate, but you know, she wanted to have the prom and, you know, have that experience. So I have to figure out how I'm going to do that for her, even though she's not going to actually do it with her friends and, you know. But we're just, you know, figuring out. I told them we're alive and we're healthy, and that's the goal here.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. So Jessica, what is schooling like for your 17-year-old? I know she's probably more tech savvy than others, but you're in Dallas, and Dallas is different than Philly and New York City. So what is that whole online learning experience like for her and for you?
Well, nothing for me because I don't have to be too hands-on. You know, thankfully she is old enough to kind of navigate it herself, and she's not, you know, new to doing online.
Mhm.
Um, I previously lived in, I'm originally from the Bay Area. So when we were there, I think she started in middle school, you know, doing the online learning and having to have a laptop and stuff like that. So it wasn't really too big of a transition for her. And again, here, just her having to submit certain assignments online. So the transition wasn't too much for her, but I do think because she wasn't used to doing all of her work online, she was kind of struggling with balancing. So we're kind of trying to figure out what's a good schedule for her so she can get her work done on time.
Does she have classes online with her teachers and her other students, or are they just giving work online and she has to complete work?
So a combination of both. Some of them she had to do assignments. So like last week we had to go up to her school to get some materials because she had to show a project. So it was like three students. One of them had to bring it on one day, and then she came on another day so they can kind of, you know, do the social distancing or whatever. But so some of it is interactive, and others she's kind of one-on-one.
Right, sounds good. Alicia, what is your experience like with the boys? Um, are they enjoying online learning? Is it stressing them out and is it overwhelming for them, or are they just thriving with it?
So they actually technically haven't started. So we're in Montgomery County, so I'm just outside of Philadelphia, and our school district closed down even before Philly did because we had a lot of cases. We were kind of the epicenter for Pennsylvania at one point. So when they first closed school, I gave them like the rest of that week, and it was like the middle of March. And then that next week, I started giving them school. So they went to mommy school. And so I created curriculum for them from 9 to about 2 o'clock, where we did a lot of different things. But basically, it was like we're doing the same thing for each grade level. So my baby was like walking around talking about photosynthesis all day because that was what his teacher, what my high school's teacher had assigned for him. So it was kind of like working with them throughout that time. So in the meantime, we had spring break last week, and today is actually starting our distance learning. So before we came on, I had started getting the information we're uploading this morning for them to start school, but a lot of it is going to be utilizing Google Classroom, which the older two had already been doing in some ways. And then the other part of that is they're going to have some videos that they have to watch, but it won't be like direct learning. Like they won't log on at a certain time and then have class and then go back and do it because of access to technology issues as a concern for the district and for the state, really. So it's really going to be the teachers posting things, and then they have to turn it in basically by Friday or by Sunday, depending on which grade they're in. So they're kind of looking forward to it. They probably don't want me as a teacher as much because a lot of my stuff was really like, we're going to talk about economics. We're going to talk about all the things I want you to learn, stuff that I talk about them with anyway, but never really sat down with them on a consistent, Monday through Friday basis to do. So they're probably kind of eager to get back to what they were used to doing.
So It's been this is the fourth week for New York City kids of online learning. So if you guys are starting today, I'm going to assume they didn't have school for 3 weeks, basically.
We didn't have for about three weeks, and then we had spring break, so basically a month.
Wow. I hope those kids who don't have the access, who are struggling to find the access within that month, they're going to be really far behind the ball. Because we know
Yeah,
there's some private schools that were probably doing school the whole time online, and then you got the public school system in your area that hasn't had school for close to a month. That's not good.
yeah, it
But
wasn't good at all. We have a pretty good district, and they did what they could to make sure they had Chromebooks released to everyone. But it did take them a lot longer than I thought it should. But what they're producing so far seems to be pretty quality. So we'll see.
all right, sounds good. I'm going to come to Albania because she got one of the little ones on her lap. So Albania, tell us how you guys are holding up and how your students are doing with the online learning.
For Selena, who's in kindergarten, she's used to like going to school and doing hands-on training, right? Writing and being with her classmates. So even though she wished that there was no school, she does miss it. And working on the computer, it's a little bit difficult because she's learning. That's something new to her. I wasn't really teaching her how to use the computer, So now using the computer, using the mouse, that's something all new to her. And sometimes it's a little frustrating for her because she's only 6 years old. So I also have the option of just printing out the homework package for her.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more convenient for her, more easier since she's used to that. Like I said, my daughter's not really, my senior is not really having any complications. I mean, she's only had a few classes anyways, and I think 2 of them were for gym. So she's a little lucky with that. And then with the baby, it's a little, for me, it's a little bit overwhelming because now I have to be this teacher. Even though, we teach our children from home, I'm not a full-time teacher. And this, you need a lot of patience. So it's a little bit overwhelming for me because I have to still take care of the household. I have to cook, I have to clean, I have my children, I have to take care of myself and my business. And so it's a little bit overwhelming at times, sometimes I have good days, sometimes, So I'm just trying to learn how to balance it. And the good thing is that we can submit the work at the end of the week. I don't have to be like, oh my God, it's hurry up. At 2 o'clock, you gotta submit this, So that's a little bit, her teacher's very flexible and she's helping us manage. So, I mean, we're just taking it one day at a time.
Sounds good. Thank you. And May, how are your children holding up with the online learning?
Well, the 17-year-old, I think it's a little overwhelming for her because to me, it seems like it's a lot more work. They actually mailed us a package like this thick. So if she couldn't get online, she had the paper format to do the work. So I think the classes that she was struggling with, she's doing it on paper. And the ones that was easier, that she already been doing it on Google Classroom, was easy for her to keep going. The 7-year-old, easy, smooth sailing, no problems. That's my little techie child. But the 17-year-old, I think it was a little bit more overwhelming for her. So me helping her adjust, I keep them on a schedule. I already had my kids on a schedule way before this pandemic. I'm like a teacher. I took like 2 years of education in college, so I'm already a teacher form right? Anyway, for me. So I already have them on schedule. Breakfast, log on, do your work, take a break, lunch, get back on if you need to finish some work, couple hours, take a break, snack. So I already had my children on a schedule, and then I do activities with them. Like we have like Friday nights is family fun night. We do a dance contest, different things. Each day I try to do something different with them. Creativity. Both my girls love to draw. So art is like a big thing in this house. We come from an artistic family, music and art. So that part is like more fun for them. I think they like that more than anything. So for the 7-year-old, I think for her, it was the most challenging because the classes that was difficult to get on and do the work. So I like the fact that they mailed the paper format. That was a blessing to me. So it was easier for her to do the work on paper. And then we could just take a picture of it or screenshot, and then upload, which was even, to me, was even just as good, But to me, I think, and me working from home, I don't get the chance to work from home. I work for the state of New York. That's a big no-no because we're dealing with people's personal private information. So I'm actually home doing my own business more, selling my book. I'm doing virtual talks like these, getting to know people from different countries and seeing family and friends from all over the world. So this pandemic actually opened up some more doors for me on the business side. So I think that's pretty cool on that aspect. But I do miss going out, going to work, seeing my coworkers, I miss my friends and stuff like that. But it's actually a benefit to me. So if my job said for me to work from home, I would love to. I'm just waiting for them to say the word. I'll stay home. I'm a homebody, so I stay home anyway, go out once in a while. But to me, I love it. The kids, I think they adjusted much better than I expected. So it was, to me, it's a good transition. But like I said, the 7-year-old, she had a little bit of struggle with the classes that she was struggling with. Everything else was smooth sailing, So it was just interesting. It's interesting being home with your kids. I mean, I love my kids. I don't know other people. I hear people's crazy stories saying, "Oh, I can't stand these kids" and all kind of stuff. But I love my kids. I don't know about them, but me and my kids are fun. We're fun. So I don't have those problems.
So that's good advice. Jessica mentioned, I think it was Jessica mentioned about rearranging the house and getting a different look. And now you're talking about having family night and dancing. I know another parent talked about family night being like a Netflix night where they'll get together and they'll watch a movie together.
We do that too.
It's important that we do that, have dinners together, have talks, and that do the homework together. All of that just to keep the kids engaged, because socially they don't have siblings in the house, and the siblings might be different ages as well, so they might not even want to interact with the siblings. They can interact with the parent who's there, who's physically there, and that's a plus. But since we're talking about parenting, part of that is the financing. Like some of us may have lost our jobs or lost one source of income. So how are we trying to make that up, and how are we managing? So I'm going to come to Jessica with that question. I know you have the luxury of selling books and working with clients besides maybe a full-time job. So what is the financial situation looking like for you in terms of work?
It's the same because I don't work in corporate America. I am full-time entrepreneur. Luckily, I still have, surprisingly, I'm getting new clients. I was like, okay, book writing is not an essential thing, and most people look at it as, like a lifetime goal or something that they want to do. So I was kind of worried at first, like, oh man, but thankfully, um, I offer a lot of different type of services. So it's not just writing. I do branding as well. So, a lot of people are starting businesses. They need websites, they need content. I do copywriting. So it's just kind of, just using all of my literary skills and just kind of just moving with the lines and kind of flowing with what's going on right now. So by the grace of God, all is well for me on that end.
Are you trying to create any new business opportunities that you haven't done before that you wanted to do, and now you have this extra time maybe to do it?
You know what? That's the thing. I don't feel like I have extra time because, like, right before all of and I picked up two big clients. And so it's like one of them is ghostwriting. And if you know about that, that's a very time consuming process. So it's like one of my was taking up a lot of my time. And then I had, a few other clients that's kind of here and there. So at this time, no. Again, by the grace of God, I'm not, feeling like I have to come up and be extra creative. So
All right, sounds good. Miss Alicia, I know you just brought the hair salon that you talked about. I know you also work with your own firm. So how are those things going? Because I'm assuming you probably can meet with clients online, but maybe you guys are not going into the courtroom or different things like that. There might not be any mediation taking place. So, and when with the hair salon, I'm guessing it's closed down unless you're doing house calls. So what is that like?
We are not doing house calls. At least none of my stylists should be doing house calls. So yeah, we closed once Philadelphia, because both businesses are in Philadelphia. Once Philadelphia kind of closed down, the first thing was well, not the first thing, but the salon closed. And so for the salon, I've been looking at, alternative means of income, some things that we had planned on doing, subscription boxes, stuff like that, mailing our clients the things they need to maintain their hair, whether they have some type of extensions they need to remove, where they need to maintain. Just kind of getting those things together is giving me an opportunity to spend a little bit more time than I had before, running a business, and the salon was open 7 days a week. So really just kind of running. I can actually sit down and work a little bit more on the businesses than I had before. So, and then like making new relationships, that's another thing. So one of the people that I'm working with to supply the things to my clients is a Black owned hair salon that's actually 2 blocks from my salon. So it's an opportunity to kind of work on new relationships. With the law firm, the courts closed pretty early. So basically all of my April dates, I was in court almost every day. So all my April dates were basically gone. And then some of my March dates because they closed in March. So for me, it's been about kind of dealing with, just the way that cases are coming in. It's a little bit different. People are still having issues because there's parenting issues that are occurring even during the shutdown. There's protection from abuse cases that are happening. So there's still work that's coming in, but it's a lot slower than it normally would be, because you have to imagine that even though people are having issues, they're not able to necessarily pay right now because they're not working. So it's been kind of a mix of that. But again, an opportunity for me to work on my businesses a lot more. So that's been great. And again, my husband working still has definitely been a plus to kind of maintain everything else. But a lot of it has just been taking an opportunity to work on the businesses and seeing how I can fix whatever issues were not going so well, and then to look back at those goals and say, how can I use this time to make sure that I'm hitting those things and then even reaching beyond it.
Excellent. So, May, what is the forecast looking like for you in terms of your business and creating new business opportunities?
Oh, for me on the business side, it actually increased for me as well. Like Jessica, I'm in the publishing business as well. So me actually gaining 2 more new clients. And now I'm thinking about selling some Afrocentric products. I want to do something else. I was already on a budget. My job actually told us, which was interesting, before the pandemic hit, we had got an email the week before saying that we may not get paid in April. So we was like, wow. So being I'm already on a budget, I was already saving before all this happened, and certain things God blessed me with that I was able to have, a savings already. So, and take, we call that the emergency fund. So when things like this happen, you have something already established. So I wasn't like frantic or stressed out. But then all of a sudden we got another email like a few weeks later saying, we're going to get paid in April, but it wouldn't be April 1st. So something did come through, and it finally did. So that was a blessing. But I got the opportunity to just put that away to the side and just save it, because I don't really need none. All the bills are paid, so that was the beauty of that. And then I'm actually working off the money I'm making from my books. So that was a plus for me. So being that I was already doing my own business, it actually was a great transition for me, because I got to work on my business more, because I was working 9 to 5 and coming home, taking care of the girls, cooking, cleaning, all that kind of stuff, kind of was slowing down my business. Now this actually picked my business back up. So that was a great thing for me. So, and Jessica, I need to link up with you too. Because, we're in the same business. So that sounds good, but I'm actually pretty happy. I wasn't stressed out like some people are, that some people lost their job. Like, I thought the same thing, like, dag, if I don't get paid, where's my extra income coming in? And I couldn't apply for unemployment, because unemployment said, if you're still on the books for your job saying you're still working, you can't get unemployment. So I was like, oh my God. So that was the only thing that kind of freaked me out just a little bit. But then I learned to say, wait a minute, girl, you okay. You got a little savings going. You got your emergency fund. So y'all all right. And I already stocked up the house before the pandemic hit. So I was like, oh, we good. I got a deep freezer full to the top, overflowing. So I was like, you're all right. So I didn't have to like panic like most people were panicking. And then with that whole stimulus thing, I didn't think we were getting that to like months later. I actually got it. I didn't believe it, because I usually don't never get that kind of stuff. I actually got it. I was like, wait a minute. Oh, I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. Yes. So I just pushed that to the side. I just put it right on into the emergency fund, just in case. You never know. What if my job tell me, because I'm new at my job too, last one hired, first one, I hate to say that, but just in case, I just said, you know what? I checked out my deferred comp, my pensions and stuff. They said that was okay. So I'm blessed. I just feel like it happens for a reason, and you just got to stay on top of things. I'm not one of those last minute persons. Some people do everything last minute and they lose out a lot. I'm the total opposite. You know, I'm good at budgeting, saving. I pay all my bills in the beginning of the month. Everything else is for us, me and the kids, and we don't have much to do. We got everything. What do you really need? You know, we got mobile phones, we got TVs, we got tablets, we got computers. What do you really need? And we got food, so water. So we're blessed. You know, that's the way I look at it. But business has definitely picked up for me on the entrepreneur side. That was a blessing. My ebook is selling even overseas. So that really made my whole past couple of weeks, that made my day. I was like, yes, I'm home doing my own business, taking a break from that job. No, no. And it was a lot of work. Working for the state of New York, you could be stressed the heck out. And one thing wrong at your job, you know, at least when you at your own business, you make a mistake, you can correct it easy. You make one wrong mistake at a state job, it's like, oh, you know what, breaks loose. And it's like, whoo. So I'm feeling pretty good that it's like a vacation for me, I feel like right now. You know, even though I'm still working, but I still feel like I have a break, you know, because I haven't had a vacation in probably years, you know. So it feels good, you know, it's a blessing.
Sounds good, and thank you for sharing. So Obama gave out Obama phones, and Donald Trump
I
trumped
still
that by
got
giving
my
out
phone
checks.
too.
So,
I still got mine.
all right. So let's go to Albania. When it comes to the finances and making new opportunities for you and your family, how has that been working out for you?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to have my boss still pay us. So, that's good. And then as far as with my nail stuff, I started developing like, oh my God, I cannot take any new clients because I usually work from home. That's like my second stream of income. And I'm like, how can I manage? So I started creating press-on nails. And I actually have them on right now, practicing. I've been doing different designs. Excuse me, turn it off. Sorry. And so now my plan is to create more press-ons and hopefully promote them on social media and mail them out to whoever is interested, and they'll be like something extra for me to have.
That's the CJ Madam Walker design. So definitely create new opportunities, create new products, create new apps. The students I'm working with, we're working on creating apps that we can use in the industry because that's stuff for you guys. So let me move on to Miss Jessica. Miss Jessica, I want you to be specific. I'm going to go to each of you guys specific about your industry. So talk to us about publishing because May's also in publishing and writing. So actually, you talk about writing, and May, you talk about the publishing side. So we'll do it like that since you guys are similar. With Alicia, we will talk about the law side of things or the hairstylist side of things. You can actually do both. And then with Albania, we'll talk about acting. So I want you to talk about the publishing side. Like, have you been writing new material? Tell us about your past material and what you have coming out next.
Yes, I'm always writing. I am actually writing on two different books. One I'm going to release next year, but in the midst of writing that book, I got another idea that kind of spinned off of that. So I'll release that a little later this year. So yes, I'm working on that. As far as the writing process, um, I am a writing coach, and then when I meet people and they ask me, okay, what should I be doing? The very first thing I tell them is to create a writing outline, because what happens is people, whether they write fiction or nonfiction, they have an idea and they have trouble putting it in a actual format so that it can write the book with ease. So that's one of the things that I encourage people to do. I give out a free workbook that actually teaches people how to turn their ideas into a writing outline so they can write their book in 90 days or less.
Sounds good. Now, in your industry, writing and publishing, are you involving your daughter in that? And does she want to be a part of that?
I used to involve her in it. She used to help me do like ship out books and stuff like that, but she is not interested in being an author. But she is creative. She's an excellent drawer and she's into fashion. So she does makeup. I mean, I don't know where this child learns how to do that kind of stuff, but Yeah, she's into fashion, so I wasn't able to snag her.
Well, that's all right. Rihanna turned a fashion brand into multi-million dollars, so she can definitely do that too. So encourage her with that. Let me move on to Miss Alicia. I know you're working in two fields, right? So you have the hairstylist, the hair salon, and then you have your law firm, your law practice. Um, are you involving your kids in that? Do your kids want to be involved in any of those areas? And what's new for you that you're working on?
So my kids generally are involved in the business aspect in some way. So whether it's coming with me to the salon to help paint, to take out trash, whatever the case may be, I definitely want them to see what it takes to kind of build and run a business, the behind the scenes, even having employees. I had employees with the law firm, stylists at the salon, like just some of the decisions I had to make. So I talk them through some of that stuff. They're not making it, but they get to hear what it sounds like. I kind of brought my office downstairs to kind of help with the parenting and the school system, so they can see my whiteboards. They can kind of see what I'm working on right now, what the plans are for the week. So they're involved in that way. My middle child definitely is really excited about business. The other ones are the baby is kind of too young, and the oldest really wants to be an engineer, so that's his focus. In terms of what's new for the business, the salon is really new already. So it was really about me just kind of taking the time to kind of think about the plan that I set up when I first bought the salon and saying, how can I use this time to kind of make sure I'm moving in that direction? Some of the things that I wanted to do, how can I kind of move faster with that? And how can I really be ready to hit the ground running once we're able to open up? Because I know it's going to be busting. So I have been interviewing people, virtually interviewing people. I have basically 3 new stylists willing to start when we open back up. And again, just making sure that I'm keeping contact with my current stylists to make sure they're okay, so that once we open back up, we're ready. With the law firm, there have been things that I wanted to do as well, including kind of creating do-it-yourself type of forms or documents. So I've been working with a developer to do that. And that's been really good. So I've actually had a time to kind of sit down and work in the playground of that and get that up and running. And then working on the last bit of a book that I had been working on. Again, some DIY stuff that can turn into a funnel, but that's an additional revenue source. For me, it's been kind of thinking about, and when I involve the kids, it's thinking about long term. I got this from Jack Ma recently. Like, he created Alibaba with the idea to have the business run for 102 years. So for me, it's like, let me think a little bit beyond what I had already been considering. If I wanted to have these businesses or these things set up for 102 years or 100 years, how would I need to establish them? What types of other things do I need to be able to do? And that's kind of where my focus has been. It's been a lot longer term than it's been. But at the same time, I have to think about the next 3 months for each business, the next 6 months for each business, 9 and 12, and adjust all my financial projections for what it was, just a few months ago. So it's been a lot of kind of moving things, but it's been really good to be able to have those things to focus on instead of being in court every single day, because it's giving me opportunity to kind of do that. And then once I get back to it, hopefully these plans will kind of continue to stay in place and we can continue moving forward.
So I know you were giving, I think it was monthly consultations or monthly meetings with fathers. Are you still doing that? And has that transitioned to like online now?
So we actually have one coming up next week, which is going to be on child support modification. It's actually open up to everyone. So I didn't do one in March because things kind of went crazy. But I did one the month before on divorce. So this one coming up is on child support modification because, again, people are out of work. The courts are actually closed, so it's hard to even go and apply for modifications, but there's some workarounds. So it's kind of educating people on what that looks like. And then even the people receiving child support can get a modification because they may have lost their income. So it's kind of making it so that understanding kind of how to function with the courts not being open to the public, having worrying about falling into arrears. And just as May said, she got her stimulus check. I don't know if people know, but if you owe a certain amount of arrears, you may not get one. And that makes it a little bit more difficult for people to get the help that they need in the time that they need it. So yeah, so still working on doing the webinars and everything else too, and the podcast. The 2 podcasts are still running. So again, an opportunity to kind of keep that going as well.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to come to Miss May. Same question for you. Let's speak about publishing specifically because I know Jessica spoke about writing. Just talk
Mhm.
about publishing and what advice you can give to people who are in the publishing writing industry?
Well, first, for me, when you want to become a published author, the first thing you do is like similar to what Jessica said. I tell them to come up with a plan. What are you looking to gain? Because a lot of people who want to publish a book don't know anything about writing or publishing. That's like the biggest challenge. Right now, I have 2 clients. I got one client who's like amazing. She knows a lot about writing. She knows what she wants. The other one, I got a client from hell. He doesn't know anything about it, but he's so aggressive. Like he wants so much. And to me, when you want a lot, you have to take the time out and give way more. You can't just want it when you want it. It don't work like that. Publishing, I worked in publishing for 15 years. And there were writers who would call and harass us. When my book come out, and my bosses used to tell her, if you don't stop calling us, your book ain't gonna get published. We're gonna push you back further and further to the down the list. So the client that I have, I call him the client from, I don't know, HELL. He doesn't understand steps. And I tell a lot of writers, you gotta have steps. You gotta give yourself a timeline. And if I'm already working on another client, and I told you that, we have to sign a contract, you have to agree to the terms. Once you agree to the terms, then we'll go step by step. Especially if you don't know anything about publishing, I want to teach you the steps. You can't just rush in and think I'm gonna publish a book in 2 weeks or 30 days. No. And then his writing, and I'm not trying to be funny, some people can't write. So I'm also editing as well as creating it, and I'm doing the cover, I'm doing everything. So he doesn't have a clue, but he's harassing me like, when is it gonna be done? When is it gonna be done? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I had to tell him, I said, typed him a nice email. I said, these are the steps. Let's take our time, because he wants to rush everything. It can't rush. If you want good quality product, you can't rush it. It takes time to create something good. When you rush, and then I told him I knew something wrong, because I'm a type of person, I do research on a person, I Google everybody I deal with, any client. I realized his first book, he lost it. And I started to click in my brain, like, now I see why you losing everything, because you're not focusing on doing the steps. You know what I mean? You want to protect your work. I'm teaching him about copyright. You want to publish a book without copyright? No. You need an ISBN number if you want to get it into stores. He doesn't care about ISBN. Yes, you got to pay. Those things cost money. Protect your work is the most important thing. He lost his other book, but now I see why. So now I'm teaching them the steps about publishing. It's important that you learn steps first before you create a project. If you don't learn the steps, you're gonna be lost and you're gonna lose. You know what I mean? I am the copyright guru. I make sure everything is protected first before I even publish it. So I'm learning also to deal with a person who has no clue versus a person who knows a lot more. So it's interesting on that end for me as a publisher, because my publishing house, my print house is on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. I create everything and I upload, send it out to them. They bring it back to me, in print form. So it's a challenge. And now that slowed down for them. It takes longer, where you used to get the books in a week or two. Now it's taking longer because of the pandemic, because my printing press house is cut down on staff. So now it takes a little bit longer. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do, to keep up with the times. But I'm taking my time. My 2 new clients, like I said, one's a client from I don't know what, and the other one, she's like a blessing. But I'm trying to get him to learn these are the steps you need to take. You can't just publish something and don't have it protected. You will lose more than you will gain. So that's something I want them to understand. It took me 2 years to publish my book. I wrote it in 30 days, but it took me 2 years to publish because I wanted to make sure I did all the right steps. You know what I mean? Because I had been out of the publishing game for a while, and to get back in for my own business, that was a challenge for me. You know what I mean? So I learned as I went along. And self-publishing was like amazing. Working from a traditional publisher and going into your own business as a self-publisher, it was a great transition. It was a great learning experience that a lot of people don't know. The publishing is no joke. You know what I'm saying? It's no joke. Writing, publishing, all that kind of stuff is some serious stuff. And especially like Alicia was saying about lasting and creating something that lasts, like Jack Ma said, 100 and some years. what's that thing? It's copyright offices, like your work lasts for about 100 years, right? It's like 100 years. So to me, that's something you got to really take into effect, like what I want this to go. I just redid my will, and I have my oldest daughter, because she loves books, so she's going to take over the publishing business and keep it going. You know what I'm saying? So that was a beauty of that. So I got to be home to recreate my own will. So that was another form of writing that I had to recreate. You know what I mean? So, but publishing, I love it. I just want my clients to learn about the business first before they get out there, because some people think they're going to make a lot of money. Some of them ain't going to make a dime, because their product, I'm not going to lie, some of them are horrible. I'm not going to tell them that, but I got to make my money. But some of them, it's not going to be good. It ain't going to be good. It's going to be good.
So let me come to Albania. I like the advice though, with the publishing. Albania, let's talk about acting specifically, because there's a lot of actors out there who can't go out to the set and do the work. So what do you do as an actor when you're home? I have
So
advice for that, but I want you to tell these actors what they can do.
sure. I mean, as for me, it's funny because I'm in the process of writing a book as well, so I'm learning a lot of information from you girls. Thank you. I'm gonna do my homework. As far as acting, I do have a book that I call the Book of Monologues, which I have been writing monologues for about 5 years now. And what I'm doing now is, how can I take this story that's in the paper and film it? So that's where I'm at the moment. Um, yeah. So what I'm doing is just writing a lot. There's different acting classes that are offering Zoom classes. So I was thinking of, hey, I might as well take a Zoom class for an acting and develop some skills from there. I love reading plays, so I'm constantly reading plays. I'm constantly writing monologues, and the next step is putting it on film and just recording myself and just keeping it going. That's basically what I'm doing.
Do you have an opportunity to work with other actors on those monologues and maybe simultaneously record?
Unfortunately, no, but I'd use my kids.
Okay.
I do use my kids, and so I'm writing a lot of like mother monologues or a teacher monologue or something that I can use my kids with. Unfortunately, I'm not able to like communicate with other. I mean, obviously through the phone, yes, but not in person. I don't want to expose. I don't know if I'm a carrier. You never know, right? But this epidemic is crazy. So no, I'm not doing anything like that. Good for the thing with me is that the monologues that I have written is usually just one person. Maybe 2 or 3 people I can involve the kids, but most of the monologues is just one person.
So we're about to wrap this up. I just have one last question for each of you guys, and I usually do this with most of my things, most of my broadcasts. It's advice. So I'm going to start with Jessica. This is specific to parenting during quarantine. So give me one piece of advice that you would recommend parents do with their children during this quarantine.
I'm sure one thing that parents should do is to spend time having conversations about what's going on so that they are aware. Um, Kids are scared. They're not seeing their friends. Teachers are not returning back to school, and it's a scary time for them, and they don't understand. So I think that parents should get the right research about the information that's out there and just convey it to their children in a way that they can understand, and also to remove that fear.
Excellent. I'm going to come to Miss Alicia. What advice would you give to parents during quarantine?
First, I want to say I think that was excellent advice, Jessica. I think having that communication open is important. I would say, even taking a step back, saying, the idea of putting your mask on first, make sure you're taking care of yourself, your health, your needs, your mental well-being. It's a lot that's weighing on us as parents, as business owners, as workers. So make sure you're taking the time to kind of deal with what's going on inside of you. One thing that I've been focusing on is my keystone habits. So if it's working out, if it's watching what I eat, whatever that thing is, that kind of make sure that I'm kind of continuing to do the right things that I need to do so that I don't fall into a depression, I don't fall into despair, kind of making sure that I'm continuing to do that and kind of teaching my kids about these things as well, not kind of just doing this thing outside of them, but including them in those things as well.
Excellent advice. May, what advice would you give to parents during quarantine when it has to deal with their children?
Hmm. I like that question. To me, allowing your children to have their own personal space is important. Let them still be kids, let them get into themselves and let them have their own personal private time. I think that's important because when you're a full-time working mom, when especially I have a teenager, so she was home alone for a few hours before I got home from work. Her having that personal space, I think she misses that because now we're home all together all day, every day. So to me, allowing them to have their own personal space so they can get back into themselves and connect with, like she said, Alicia said, connect with their friends and stuff like that. I think that's important. A lot of parents forget about privacy, and I'm a big person. I believe the right to privacy is so important to your self-care and being able to be within oneself. I'm very spiritual, so I allow my children to have their own personal private time so they can still be who they are and not be, like Alicia said, not be stressed out. Create that stress-free environment. Because when they're at school all day and not to be at school, it's a totally different transition. And with the little one, I have to teach her to, leave your sister alone for a little while, let her have her me time. You know what I mean? So to me, I think that's important, is allowing them to have their own personal space. That to me is like one of the biggest things because, our parents forget just because you're home, you can do other things around the house without including the children. You were doing it anyway before the pandemic. So allow them to get into themselves and let them be who they are and let them connect with their friends and family or whatever. Stop invading everything. Like everybody wants to know everybody, what you doing? What you doing in the house? Like, stop doing that. That's ridiculous. Let them have their own personal private space.
Excellent. Albania, what advice would you give to parents for their children who are dealing with this quarantine?
Um, I give my 18-year-old daughter her privacy, her personal space. As far as the little kids, just involve them. We've been doing yoga together, and just thinking of different activities that we can do together, just to keep them entertained, because I have two little ones who need my attention 24/7. And now that they're not in school, I feel like they're a little bit more, I guess, needy. It becomes a little bit overwhelming because it's like, okay, wait, I'm not really I'm used to going to work and having my personal space. So the advice that I can give is just to have a lot of patience. And I've been learning that now that I've been home with the kids. I'm like, oh my God, I need patience. Sometimes, take that time to step to even the bathroom and close the door and just breathe in and breathe out, and then try to communicate. This is what I do. Try to communicate with the kids, like, okay, girls, this is what we're going to do, So I try to give them different, you're going to paint for like 1 hour and have them paint while I can read my book, and I can do, and for me, I would just probably be with them throughout the day, do different activities. And then when they go to sleep, my me time, it's at 12 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So I'm going to sleep super late just to give myself that time for me to be able to have that mental clarity and tranquility, because it is overwhelming being in the same household with a lot of children. So it's just taking that time out for you, doing a few things with the kids, to keep entertained, and yeah, that's basically it.
Sounds good. I think I got 3 pieces of advice from you because you started out with the yoga, the Pilates, that kind of thing, which is exercise. And the kids definitely need exercise because some of the kids don't have backyards, front yard spaces to play. They don't have rooftops to play, and they're trapped in an apartment. So you definitely want to make sure these kids are active and doing their exercises and eating healthy during this quarantine. They're going to be loading up on Twinkies and Skittles. It's important that they have some healthy foods in that household and doing some exercise as well. So I want to thank you ladies for taking your time to come out and be a panelist on Black Pill Radio today. It was really important that we had this conversation, and I appreciate the advice that you guys were given. So thank you again. I'm going to upload
Thank
this
you.
hopefully by tonight. If not tonight, definitely tomorrow morning. And then I'm going to take a screenshot of what I recorded, and I'm going to tag that on Instagram, so everybody can follow everybody, and it'll all be posted. And then I'll contact you guys individually so we can just talk about some things that you guys mentioned and some other business opportunities. So again, thank you guys for being on Black Pill Radio, and I will talk to you guys soon. Adios.